let's reawaken the knowledge that all these traditional cultures that had robust traditions of health and longevity, it's just such a compassionate viewpoint as to how we function in this world, kind of as a spark of energy that's passed down through the generations. And whether that spark gets amplified and supported, or whether that spark just has to kind of fight to survive. It's a fine dance of guarding your precious inner kingdom while also giving generously and using the energy you have wisely. If you hoard your energy and gifts too tightly, the body downregulates and makes less of them. If you overgive, you become drained, withdrawn, and can develop severe issues running the gamut from burnout to cancer, autoimmune, and other chronic and even fatal diseases.
Do you feel a deep reserve of vitality bubbling up, effervescing inside of you, moving through you, sustaining your days, sustaining your health? Or not? Or do you remember what it felt like to feel that within you and you wonder where it went? My guest today, Suuzi Hazen, my good friend who has a doctorate in Chinese medicine, is here to talk about the TCM concept known as essence. She is relating this specifically to the case that has captured everyone's attention, the Lindsay Clancy case, or at least that's what got her starting to talk about this online in a series of Instagram posts that have been very well received and very interesting to learn about. So nice to be totally captivated by what someone is sharing online and then be like, oh, this is my good friend and I have a podcast. So why don't I get in touch with her and learn more from her and record the conversation so others can learn more as well. So we talk about a lot of things, including how closely spaced births, inadequate postpartum recovery, illness, and chronic overextension can deplete this deep reserve of vitality known as essence. Also, loss, grief, recreational drug use, many, many things. And about how nourishment, rest, hydration, and mindful use of our energy can help restore them. That's mindful use of our energy. That is something that I am still working on daily. And that feels, it's like something I didn't even ever consider until my health crash a few years ago, that I could actually be in charge of how I directed my energy and stop completely living off of cortisol and caffeine, or what adrenaline and vibes and tortilla chips. We also explore the importance of community and finding a sustainable balance between giving and receiving, depletion and nourishment, and just other ways to embrace this traditional wisdom as we live these modern lives. So it's a conversation that asks what might change if women treated conserving and replenishing their vitality as essential to lifelong health. These are things I want my daughters to think about and to be aware of as they move through the world. As I mentioned in the interview, my oldest just turned 20 and my younger one is about to turn 10. These are, years that we mark. These are important turnings. These are decade closers, decade openers for them, these birthdays. And I'm just grateful for all the people over the thousands and thousands of years that were developing the system of traditional Chinese medicine through observation and through experimentation and practice. And I find that it just works so well as a system for me at this time in my life. So I'm Amber. I haven't said that yet. This is Medicine Stories. This is Suuzi. And I hope that you learn a lot and have some insights into your own personal health and healing journey. Oh, and by the way, the Patreon bonus that goes along with this episode is an extra conversation between me and Suze. And it is a healing journey update. So for those of you that have been following along, or maybe not, on our our convoluted paths into perimenopause, into our 40s, into recovering from years of food ideologies and restricting and not using our energy mindfully. This is, an update, what we're doing now, how we're feeling, what we're eating, those kind of things. So that's at patreon.com/medicine stories. Thank you very much. You might notice there are no outside ads on this podcast. I love it being that way. I want to keep it that way. And the support over on Patreon, $5 a month, is what makes it possible. So thank you very much. And here we go with Suuzi. Miss Suuzi, welcome back.
Hey, girl. Happy to be here.
Good. You should be. You better be.
Yay! The Medicine Stories podcast, the number one podcast for crunchy and silky women in their 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, and beyond.
Well beyond. And silky.
Silky.
What does silky mean?
Do you remember that Instagram account, Really Very Crunchy?
Yeah.
That funny mom? Okay. So she actually came up with the term silky, which is the opposite of crunchy, which means like where we do linen, they would do polyester. But then I think there was the addendum to scrunchy. So scrunchy might be more where most of us are following these days, which is like, okay, yeah, we brew herbs, we make broth, we choose some alternative education for our kids, but also maybe we use Pantene and Colgate, and we're open to evidence-based pharmaceutical intervention if needed. And maybe our kids do go to a public school or a private Christian school or something, because that's our best choice and we're grateful for it. So I actually really like that concept of scrunchy.
I personally want to be a velvet scrunchie.
Yes.
Yeah, that's interesting. That fits into, something that I keep talking about here, which is like this sort of collapse of wellness or whatever. It's not collapsing at all, but just, this moment that a lot of us are in of like, I was like really bought into that paradigm a few years ago, or maybe for a long time. And a lot of people really peaked during COVID with it. And now I'm questioning some things. So I'm seeing some things I don't like too much. And also for me, it just feels like middle age and letting go of some of the ideals that I held really strongly when I was younger. Like I'm gonna cut to you and I at Walgreens this sometime in the last year buying NyQuil because you couldn't sleep at night because of your cough. And we're like,
well, yeah,
you need to sleep.
You know what?
I know you feel like that backfired. Yeah, we can talk.
Yeah, it backfired.
Yeah. But
we still had fun buying it.
True.
And we were open to it.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. I was actually at Walgreens yesterday at like 9 p.m. buying my son some school supplies and a big old bale of
hay.
Not hay. What are those things? Paper towels. Okay. And I don't know if anyone can relate to the journey of like never buying paper towel for like 20 years.
Yes.
And then suddenly being like, oh my goodness, this stuff is amazing.
Yep.
It can do so much for your home.
Yeah.
So,
yes. I didn't use paper towels for probably decades. And now I use them every day. And guess what? Someone's going to be mad at us. I am going to get an Instagram DM about something like, I can't believe you and Suuzi use paper towels. I thought so much better of you both.
Well, let's be real. We use them sparingly. We are not like using one paper towel per nose blow. Okay. Anonymous internet hater, whomever you may be. And, I don't know, just being trapped in that space of perfectionism and honestly thinking that your individual consumer choices are going to like save the environment. It's just not accurate. It doesn't mean we can't still choose what feels good and wholesome for our families, which I think we should and we do, but also if you're just, like I was trying to, if you have to clean out the window tracks of your windows, maybe once or twice a year, they get so gross. I mean, for years I was doing that with a rag, rinsing the rag. And it was just like at a certain point, it's like, okay, I'm 46 here. I'm getting wipes. So come at me.
Oh. Okay. Suuzi and I, if anyone is new here, we've been IRL friends for 18 years. 18 years. Been on a journey. Been on many journeys. Been on a healing journey. And we live near each other. And it's very funny that we're on a Zoom call with each other from our own. Every time we do it, it's funny. And Suuzi is the mother of 2 boys and has a doctorate in traditional Chinese medicine. I'm the mother of 2 girls and an herbalist. And so, Suze, like many people, you have been inspired to generate content around the Lindsay Clancy case. Has got you thinking about like every mother I know.
Oh.
And it started you. So first you did this post on postpartum psychosis and essence in TCM, and then you've continued this essence series. And I was like, let's talk about this because this really is just so relevant to things I like to talk about on this podcast in general, and specifically the conversations you and I have had over the years. And we will talk more personally about our healing journey updates in the Patreon bonus. But for now, so are you ready? Do you have your post in front of you?
Yeah, sure.
Let me start having you read the original post in light of the
Lindsay Clancy. Yeah.
Okay. And I'm going to be oiling myself which I should do this during every podcast interview. But
it's so relaxing watching you do it. Oh, it's so relaxing.
Oh, there's a whole other level right there of oiling in groups or just with one person and just viewing someone else touch themselves in that way and feel that nervous system relaxation.
I know. It's so nice.
As you know, I'm having a very hard ovulation right now, like the hardest I've had in a long time. And I've had really good ones lately. I'm in that perimenopausal ovulation. Used to feel great. Now it's just a fucking shit show. And who knows what's going to happen this month. And this one just really bad. And I was feeling anxiety today and like the day before yesterday too, which is something I very rarely feel. And it's not related to anything actually happening in my life or like unfamiliar food or I don't know anything. It's like the August doldrums too. Anyway, I will be oiling and calming my nervous system while you read your post for us.
Well, I think that's very relevant because in traditional Chinese medicine, we believe that the mood and mental health of people is it's the like energetic expression of your physiological state, right? So that's why, sometimes things like anxiety and depression truly are caused by life circumstances. But a lot of the time, I think a lot of us sit with being like, oh, like nothing changed, but at this different stage of my cycle, I always struggle. And the Lindsay Clancy case is very apropos of that because I think she is an example of a woman who kind of had it all, quote unquote, from what I know of her story. She was a wonderful person. Everybody loved her. She was a cheerleader. She's an L&D nurse, married to the love of her life, owned a house in a relatively expensive area. Like she was really a high achiever and a great person. But then her health just tanked, her mental health tanked after these 3 relatively closely spaced births. And then the psychopharmaceuticals just created a whole other layer to this. So why don't I go ahead? I will read the post that I wrote and then we can reflect on that.
Yeah, I just, again, feel like throwing out a little caveat, like we are not here to cover every aspect of the Lindsay Clancy case at all. It inspired Suuzi's posts on essence, which is what we're going to talk about. So
Yeah.
Again, I
So,
don't need DMs being like, there's also this aspect of it. It's very complex.
it's very complex. Okay. So for thousands of years, TCM has understood that the massive potential energy loss of pregnancy and birth can cause mental and physical illness. In light of the Lindsay Clancy case, I wanted to share some thoughts and information on this topic. There's an idea floating around social media that modern women's health issues, menopause, perimenopause, period pain, postpartum depression, etc., are modern issues only, but that is false. Any examination of historical literature, let alone TCM medical books from 5,000 years ago, shows us that these problems have been with us for a very long time. Creating new life doesn't come out of nowhere. The female body builds a baby from our own stored precious substances: liver blood, related to the placenta and monthly flow, and essence, a more rarefied substance related to the kidneys and lack thereof is implicated in many birth defects. When a baby is born or a miscarriage happens, especially later stage, there is a loss of essence and blood. And blood is capitalized. So we need to understand that blood is more of an umbrella term in TCM than just, the red stuff. If a woman who is otherwise healthy, well-nourished, and supported, her body and mind can tolerate this loss and begin to rebuild. C-sections cause hemorrhage-level blood loss, even when necessary, and abortions are also hard on the body, even when they are a good choice from the point of view of family planning, an abusive partner, etc. TCM and all indigenous forms of medicine have robust traditions to help women rebuild blood and essence after birth or loss. Chicken soup and other broths, animal organs, especially liver, eggs, warm herbal teas, a warm environment, not washing the hair, belly binding, moxa, confinement, a complete lack of expectation that she will do other work during the initial 6 weeks after birth other than breastfeeding. If we don't do these things, blood and essence don't rebuild, and subsequent children may be less robust, and the woman's physical and mental health will suffer. It is obvious that this is common, in fact, almost the rule in the modern world. We need to bring these traditions back as much as we can and fast. Broth, hydrating herbal teas, liver and oysters, support from family and friends, meal trains, etc. We also need to space births by 3 to 4 years minimum. Things happen, but this birth spacing is across the board in TCM to give moms a chance to recover. 2 years is too soon. So there's a lot more that could be said, but that's what I wrote.
What's the not washing the hair thing?
Yeah. So in Chinese medicine, we're always trying to avoid pathogenic wind and pathogenic cold. So if you imagine the body is like trying to maintain homeostasis at 97, 98 degrees, we're basically always at a temperature that's less than that, right? So washing the hair when a person is sick, which in Chinese medicine, a postpartum mother wouldn't be considered to be sick exactly, but she's like extremely fragile. She has all these open vessels, right? The quote unquote dinner plate sized wound, which I don't totally love that terminology, but she's very energetically open and extremely sensitive.
That's in the uterus from where the placenta detached, right?
Exactly. So washing the hair can cause chills and pathogenic wind to the very sensitive energetic vessels on the head and the brain. And it's just considered to be not a good thing to do if you are vulnerable. That said, Chinese medicine also really comes from a tradition of living in a pretty cold climate, because most of China is quite cold, and living in a world that doesn't have central heating or even, warm water. So, of course, they do have those things now, but I do think, most postpartum women can definitely wash your hair after birth, but you still might want to minimize it. And also you would want to at least blow dry the roots don't walk around with wet hair. And maybe washing your hair once a week or whatever.
Yeah.
But don't let yourself get chilled.
So this idea of essence, this is different from chi. Why don't you talk about the difference between these two forms of energy?
Yeah, they're very different. So chi is your daily energy that you rebuild every day with the food you eat, the air you breathe, and the positive and diverse life experiences that you encounter. Essence is it's like the backup battery of the body. It's also called Jing. And in Ayurveda, they have something called Ojas, which is very similar concept. And it can be rebuilt a little bit, but it's not really designed to be rebuilt. It's designed to be slowly parceled out throughout your life. And it is one of the major factors in the aging process. So loss of essence occurs naturally with the aging process. It's not necessarily a bad thing because we are meant to age. But when loss of essence happens rapidly and catastrophically due to things where you heavily deplete your daily chi, and then if you don't have your daily chi to do all your physiologic functions, let alone your tasks, your essence has to come in and get used. So if you think about, so many of us, especially postpartum moms, losing sleep is heavily essence depleting. Not eating regular meals, not eating sufficient calories is heavily essence depleting. And a lot of pharmaceuticals can also be essence depleting. Illegal drugs are extremely essence depleting. I think those are the main ones: lack of sleep, lack of regular and enough food, and strong medications or drugs. It's, that's why street drug users lose their teeth often, and get prematurely aged. So it almost, the rapid loss of essence, it creates like your essence is also very tied to your spirit. And the loss of essence creates almost like a vacuum and can cause what in more traditional Chinese medicine they would call pathogenic spirits, but in modern languaging we would call mental illness.
Hey, Suuzi and I would like to invite you to come hang out with us in November in Costa Rica. On the Nicoya Peninsula. It is a trip we are hosting through Trova Trip. We did the same thing. It was a different itinerary, different part of Costa Rica, but in 2023, me and Suuzi and 10 women, and it was wonderful getting to be with Medicine Stories listeners. And what was your favorite part of that trip, Suuzi?
Oh my goodness, everyone was awesome. Everyone was so nice and down to earth. We had the best conversations. I loved the food. I loved the slow pace of the trip. It was like the retreat for people that hate retreats, kind of. And Costa Rica is such a nourishing country, and the women were so nice. I miss you guys. We've actually stayed in touch with a lot of them still.
Yeah. There's the land there, the plants. I mean, Central America is a place for plant lovers. The fecundity of the land, the lushness, the moisture in the air, the water. And so I chose my audience, you all chose Costa Rica, and then I chose this specific itinerary because we get to soak in mineral-rich hot springs, natural, like earthen hot springs. We get to swim under a waterfall. And someone who has stayed in the resort hotel that we're staying at told me that the pool is actually so awesome. So I love pools. I'm down to be in the water every day we're there.
Can't wait. Come join us.
So the last day to purchase tickets is September 13th, which is very soon if you're listening. And the retreat is November 3rd through 8th. I'll have a link in the show notes to tell you all the information you need. Message me if you have any questions. Really not sure if I'm going to do this again in this way with this company, this destination. I don't know. Maybe. Costa Rica is amazing, but we'll see. So if you've been thinking about it, check the link out and come swim with us. So it's like, I've always thought of it as like, a bank account. Like, you're born, this is what you are born with. It does not get replenished through your efforts the way like the daily flow of chi can.
Yeah, you're very, very correct about that. It can be rebuilt somewhat, but it's one of those things where it's like, you know how when something happens to people and then they say, I was never the same again? That's kind of what we're talking about here. So you are very right about that. Although there is hope to rebuild it a little bit, but not all the way.
Yeah, it's just like a less flexible form of life force.
Yeah. It's kind of like a trust fund that your parents gave you, but it doesn't grow in interest.
Yes.
It's just there, and for you to call upon in emergencies and use it at regular intervals, but it will be gone at a certain point, and that's when we will return home. So
I'm going to read this wonderful comment. This woman wrote, I've experienced both. My first birth experience was depleted, undernourished, no support, sleep deprived, like so many of us. I remember thinking death would be a great break if it wasn't so final. 18 months later, I experienced a pregnancy loss. 2 years after that, I had a fully redemptive fourth trimester where I did a 44-day confinement, more support, warm, nourishing meals, tons of sleep, and was in the best mental and physical state I had been in years, all based on TCM.
Yes. I think, is that the noble matriarch, Audrey? I feel like she wrote that.
I think so. Yeah, I already.
Yeah, she's so awesome.
That just gives me hope. I didn't have restorative postpartums at all. I should have known more with my second one 10 years ago. So my oldest daughter turned 20 a few days ago. My youngest will turn 10 in a couple weeks. But no, I got none of that except for a little bit, Suze, of the meal train that you did for us 10 years ago, which my husband still talks about was one of the best things that ever happened to us. Thank you for setting that up.
Yeah, you're welcome. Yeah, I know. I was thinking about you, and I was just like, it would have been so great to have had a postpartum doula for you, or even in addition to the meal train, we could have scheduled for someone to be coming, like even just twice a week, to do stuff like dishes, laundry, and like sweep and mop your floor or something. Because I really do feel like with postpartum care, a lot of the time what moms need, they can be with the baby, but they need help with all the other stuff, Yeah. I mean, of course, that just depends, but I wish we could have done more. And, you made it work, but it was hard.
Yeah, I would say I lost essence with probably both.
Yeah.
In a way that I will not recover from, have not recovered from.
Yeah, I think that's really common with modern Western women. And I really contrast it with a birth that I saw of she was the co-owner of one of the Chinese medicine schools I went to in Victoria. Her husband was like the doctor and the owner, but she was like in there all the time doing stuff. And this woman was just like radiant. Totally, she'd been living the Chinese medicine lifestyle since birth. Pink cheeks, bright eyes, flat stomach, strong body, long black hair, sparkle, smiles, laughter. Everywhere she went, trailing behind her was her mom. Okay. And her mom was she didn't speak a word of English, but they would just be, no, 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 no. And her mom was always doing stuff. Her mom was also a vibrant woman, in her early 60s or something. And so she got pregnant. She grew, but the whole rest, you couldn't tell she was pregnant except for her belly because she had no swelling, no excess weight gain, high energy, running, squatting, getting down under cupboards. And then once she gave birth, she actually, I think she was gone for maybe 2 weeks. She didn't do the full confinement because I don't think she felt like she really needed to. And then she was back, and everywhere she was, Her mom was there with her baby, just walking along behind her with her baby while she did the stuff she wanted to do. And then she would go into the office and breastfeed, and then she'd be back out. And I remember one time saying, like, how are you doing it all? Like, you're amazing. And she just said, oh, for someone like me, having a baby is no problem. I could do this, I could do this over and over again. And I mean, who knows? But wow, just the vitality this woman had was like unbelievable. And her mom was glued to her.
Yeah, let's not overlook how much better we'd all be doing if we had a loving mother, preferably our loving mother, right there with us through the entire experience and postpartum. Like that alone, that could cure almost anyone's postpartum issues, I would.
Yeah. It's wow. It's huge.
I really, 11 years out from my mom's unexpected death, I was just really thinking about the other night. And I was like, that for me, that was the event. That was the event after which I was never the same. And it just like something essential left my life. And a huge part of that was support and love, and like this feeling of being held and lineage and continuance. And I just think about people who lose a loving parent at an even younger age than I did. I was 34, like I had a lot of time to imbibe her essence and her love. And there's so many things that are out of our control is what I'm thinking about right now. When there are to like energy, essence, and health.
There are. And I think it's, this conversation can sometimes be very discouraging for people because you just think, oh, wow, I lost essence here. I lost it there. Like, what does my future hold? And I think it's intelligent and realistic to have these thoughts. But if we don't look at our life journey as something where the suffering and the hardships that we go through are leading us to more wisdom, just deep lessons that we need, and just knowing that our suffering has a reason, and however you look at that from a spiritual perspective, I really just feel like we need to come back to that more spiritual outlook on it, because if we are just looking at it from the here and now, it's pretty flippin' discouraging.
Let's go on to your next post then. Let's talk more about essence and why losing essence can cause psychosis.
Okay, let's see if I will. This is really technical for me, opening up my Instagram while I'm on a Zoom. Whoa.
You chose such beautiful art for all of these posts. I really enjoyed it.
Oh, thank you. I'm having so much fun with this because I have some artists that I really love that are within they've been gone for long enough that their art is in the public domain. So it's just so fun using it. Mm-hmm. Yeah, this one is by Agnes Pelton, who's one of my favorite artists. And her life journey is really interesting too. Okay, so let's talk more about essence and why losing essence can cause psychosis according to TCM. Essence is like the backup battery of the body, stored in the kidney, bones, nervous system, and brain. It's given at birth. It's very tied to your genetic inheritance. Many, not all, but I would say most, birth defects are caused by lack of sufficient essence. And one thing I would point out here is it doesn't necessarily mean the mom and father didn't have enough essence, but that the transfer of essence didn't go properly. Right? And that's just one of the complexities and subtleties of this. Spina bifida comes to mind. Sometimes subsequent pregnancies will go better. There's many bio-individual factors that come into play with transfer of essence. The essence shines in the eyes. One reason why babies and young children have such bright, glowing eyes and faces. The essence fills the body spiritually, and its loss creates a spiritual vacuum. When essence is lost quickly due to severe accident or illness, too fast or inappropriately spaced births, or drug abuse, a spiritual vacuum can be created and the normal function of the spirit is diminished. If the body retains strong energy mechanisms, this can lead to psychosis, where a person is now in communication with spiritual forces that are not appropriate for normal daily living. There's a lot of complexity and individual lifestyle and community factors at play. Psychosis can have a beautiful side, communicating with angels, for example, and a very scary side, seeing and hearing voices telling you to do bad things. The same person can experience both sides, just one, or have a totally diverse experience that is simply experiencing reality in a different way from the rest of humanity. All of these situations are not considered safe, healthy, or balanced by TCM.
Yeah. Yeah. Let's touch on birth spacing again real quick. You mentioned it there, and I think we've probably talked about it maybe every time you've been on. We've been talking about it in personal conversations forever. But it's something so many people overlook and has been noted in numerous indigenous societies of people who are not clouded by modern lenses are very aware of the toll that childbearing takes on women. I've always recommended 3 to 4 years minimum between births.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I think it's really important to state here that we're never blaming women. We're not saying, oh, you had your babies too close together, you're bad, And I think that's why sometimes I really want to tread lightly with this, because 2-year birth spacing is just what's considered normal. It's what almost everyone does, the 2-year birth spacing.
Yeah.
And so we're never blaming women. We're never saying you screwed up. It's not that. It's just saying, let's reawaken the knowledge that all these traditional cultures that had robust traditions of health and longevity, because they did not have things like glasses. They did not have things like IV fluids or blood transfusions or antibiotics, right? They had to be really mindful because, if you have 2 children too close together, you may not be able, it's not going to be good for the mom. It's not going to be good for the kids. And there's reasons for this. So the 3.5 to 4-year birth spacing is to allow the woman's body to become replenished with nutrients, minerals, what we call the precious substances of Chinese medicine. And it's to allow the child also developmentally to gain a stage of independence, so that when the mother is taking care of a new baby, that older child has progressed enough with their development so that they can play safely, they can walk. You're not trying to carry 2 at a time. And those traditions are there for a reason.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's such a good point. I always thought of it more in terms of replenishment of the mom's nutrients and minerals, but also so that she's not mothering 2 babies at once. Basically.
Yeah. There's a safety issue there as well, right? Because if a child is 3.5 or 4, chances are you can give them some basic orders and be like, okay, you need to hold on to the shopping cart while we're walking across this super dangerous parking lot, which, I hate parking lots for children. Ugh, makes my blood boil. But if you've got a 2-year-old and a newborn, well, both of them still need to be, it's just, wow, that's so hard. Yeah. So hard.
Okay, let's go on to how to replenish essence.
The
part of the conversation.
Yeah, this is, I think I got a really mean comment on this one today. Someone said, what did she say? I muted her comment, but it was a vegan. Okay, let's say no more. Although there's lots of great vegans out there, but this was whatever. Okay, let's learn about how to replenish essence according to TCM. Essence is your deepest reserve of energy in body tissues. Healthy essence is reflected in the hair, color and thickness, eyes, brightness and vision, bone density, teeth, feet, lower back, fertility, and more. A calm and clear spirit, wisdom in an older person, magical playfulness in a child. There is some subtlety and overlap with the liver and blood. Essence naturally wanes as you age. It's why elders can lose teeth, develop arthritis, hair thins and whitens, and elders also can develop painful feet and a crooked, somewhat shrunken and malformed skeleton. Healthy elders will develop great wisdom and spirituality as their essence shines through their weakened physical form. We all know these types of wonderful elders. Rebuilding essence needs to be done in a somewhat roundabout way, and it's not guaranteed, and it takes a long time. And then I wrote, sorry, I actually hate this for us, which I do. So rebuild blood, broth, liver, chicken, beef, or others. Meat, braised and slow cooked, not in huge amounts, but 3 or so ounces per meal. Deep hydration with congee, porridge, herbal teas, coconut water to rebuild blood volume. Early bedtime, 9 p.m., sorry. Daily short nap. Don't overdo it. Be very mindful with boundaries and pushing your energy limits. Try not to live off of your adrenals. Adrenals are your essence. Instead, live off of your daily energy. Special, precious, and expensive herbs for the essence. Use with care and be mindful of scammy online products. If you can get these, get them directly from a Chinese herbalist that you trust. Deer or elk antler and ginseng. Sadly, there are limits to rebuilding essence. For example, after many years of vegetarianism, in my late 20s, personally, I lost a tooth. I was lucky enough to get an implant, thanks Dad, but there's no way to ever regrow tooth tissue. Skeletons, tendons, and hair follicles can be fickle. They may not regrow or rebuild, although sometimes they do. As I said before, I hate this for us, but the earthly realm has limitations, and every loss is taking us closer to home.
So your dad was a dentist. He did your implant?
No, he didn't do it, but he paid for it.
Okay, I was going to say, is this like don't operate on your child type?
No, he would, but this was even like, I think I was 26 or something when I got it. So even back then, that would be 20 years ago. Implants were kind of a new technology at that time. So he was able to get me in with one of his actually university professors who was a really cool guy. He was doing them and he did it. You know, you have to do it really carefully. He did a good job. And I'm just so grateful because, you know, imagine like it's one of my more front teeth. It's the tooth right to the right of my upper central, oh gosh, I should know the names of these teeth. Anyways, it's a visible tooth. So, you know, you just think about what that looks like if you don't have the resources to get that cosmetic help. Like now you're walking through the rest of your life and that will limit your opportunities, unfortunately. So,
no one likes it. It's so personal when teeth are having issues, especially falling out. We have a personal friend who lost a tooth after having a baby at around age 40 a few years ago. And then Cassandra, who was in my Patreon with Ashley Wolken, you know, 1 or 2 episodes ago, is maybe going to lose a tooth after her 3rd child.
Yeah.
Very common. And
it is.
It's
one of those things, where if you're going through issues with dental decay or loss of teeth, you can just feel it in your bones. You can feel it in your body, like something is not right. And there's a feeling of like dread and fear. There's actually, you know, those, I don't know if you've ever had them, but like dental dreams where you're like losing teeth in your dreams. If anyone's going through that, like just know you need to slow down and really look at your health and start refilling your own cup because those dreams are very, very symbolic.
Wow. Yeah. I used to have them a lot.
Me too. Ugh.
It would just be so interesting if we could see Lindsay Clancy's HTMA Go
Yeah.
back in time and like before kids, after the first, after the second, after the third, see how her body was managing stress and what the mineral picture of her body was. Or it's been, you and I have sort of been talking about, okay, you studied TCM in your 20s, your early 20s. I've been familiar with the concepts, not nearly as deeply as you are for the same
No,
amount
but
of time.
you know a lot though. You actually know a lot.
Yeah, I know some things. I remember reading The Web That Has No Weaver when I was like 20 or 21,
Yeah.
But then you and I both 3 or 4 years ago had a really severe health and energy crash. Like lost our ability to function in the world. And in our desperation to heal and get ourselves back to where we were and be the mothers and business owners that we need to be in our lives, we studied, we learned a lot about the body. And what I'm trying to say is we've gone down pathways with like bioenergetics and just more like hardcore medical, physiological, anatomical studies. And getting into various wellness practices that some have been helpful, some have not. I'll point people to my recent solo episode called Healing is Older Than the Internet, where I just sort of talk about my experience here. But coming back, facing again this TCM perspective for me, I'm like, this is so helpful because these concepts, while my scientific Western brain goes, what does that concept correlate to? And is it actually true? I actually remember in Cammie's class, my herb teacher, Cammie McBride, in 2007, sitting in her classroom and her talking about some TCM concept and me raising my hand and being like, do we have scientific proof today that that concept is real? And her just kind of being like, that's like an irrelevant question. It basically is how I remember her answer being like, they don't, like, there's not a one-to-one correspondence. And like, we have these 5,000 years of observation and experimentation to show this is true. My point is, as I am turning more towards TCM and understanding these concepts, they are so freaking useful. And
I know.
It's like if I had never cluttered my brain with all these other modern Western medical concepts, and this had been the only framework I'd ever had, or, the main one, I feel like things could have gone differently for me.
Yeah. We could be like that bouncy, beautiful TCM school owner's daughter. I mean, TCM wife, excuse me. And to also just to add to that point of where does TCM and modern Western concepts collide? I mean, I kind of wonder where modern medicine is going. I don't know if sometimes I think it's going to a better place. Other times I think it's
both.
Getting even worse.
It's both. It's doing both at the same time.
Yeah, you're right. But in China, they use them both hand in hand. You'll be getting cancer treatment and you'll also be getting treated by a Chinese herbalist in the same hospital simultaneously. They have herb rooms where they brew the herbs and vacuum seal, and they get delivered to your room in the same time as you're receiving like a sleeve of chemo, right? I don't know if they call it a sleeve of chemo. I don't know. But, they do them both simultaneously. They just, one does not cancel out the other at all. And, most TCM practitioners have actually a ton of respect and appreciation for Western medicine practitioners, so long as they're respectful. Obviously, sometimes that's lacking, but these people are on the ground, like saving people's butts after car accidents and stuff. It's and cancer, and it's amazing. But yeah, the Chinese medicine, just these concepts of looking, like it's like you're looking at the body as this You know that Bjork song, I'm a fountain of blood in the shape of a girl? That lyric, it's like that's how Chinese medicine looks at the body. It's like there's a fountain that comes up the central line of the body, and that really mirrors the internal abdominal aorta and vena cava, right? Those two big blood vessel and two big blood vessels that run along the back of the spine there. And then they come up and they branch off to all the arteries and veins that take care of your limbs and your organs. And then everything comes back down to the heart and the liver. And this kind of like it's like these two overlapping oblong circles, kind of like a torus field. And it's just such a compassionate viewpoint as to how we function in this world, kind of as a spark of energy that's passed down through the generations. And whether that spark gets amplified and supported, or whether that spark just has to kind of fight to survive.
I feel like we have to tell people about your Bjork karaoke at your birthday. That was the best, most wonderful karaoke performance I've ever seen, because who on earth would ever do that song for karaoke besides you? Which one was it? It was from Vespertine, right?
Yeah, it's the what is it called? It's the one where she talks about her love for Matthew Barney, and it's like very sensual, very sexual, but very poetic.
Who would have thought that a girl like me was that one? Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, it's such a good song.
It is.
Everybody
it's so not
album.
A karaoke song, but it was just, we were all just like beaming at you in your living room in this field of love. You were a fountain of love in the shape of a girl, singing that song to all your best women friends.
That's, I'm so grateful. I mean, honestly, who gets to have friends like this? Okay. Who gets this? I just want this for everyone. And we need another karaoke night.
Well, you're the host. You're the one with the karaoke.
Oh yeah.
Thing happening.
And hey, how TCM is karaoke, okay? Because in Asia, everybody sings. Mm-hmm. I don't know how we got to the point in Western culture where only people that are good at singing can sing.
Yeah.
Like in Asia, they look at, singing it's just something that people do. So obviously some people are gifted, some people are mid, but anyone can just kind of bust out a song. Like I remember when I was going to, I did a 500-hour clinical internship at a hospital in China. And I had this one friend who was Chinese, and I went for a group of us went for a hike with him. And as we're on this sort of like torturous hike, he just says, okay, well, why doesn't everybody just sing a song now? Because we're getting bored. And so everyone like went through the group and just sang a song, just whatever. And everyone just kind of listened and like, oh yeah, that's a great song. Or like maybe chimed in a little bit. But like, could you imagine doing that with like modern, our friends? Like it just wouldn't, it's really cool. They really still keep that playfulness and that more just like natural connection with the arts than we have.
It's such a basic human thing. And it is really tragic that in the West, at least here in the States, at least in my elementary school in California in the 80s, if you were this incredible singer, you sucked.
You just shut up.
Shut up. And then there's all the shame around it.
Yeah.
When it's so joyful to sing, and it's so joyful to sing with others. It's a very elevated human experience, but so basic.
I know. It's so many things have been sort of taken away from us by the experience of being colonizers. Because in our ancestral European cultures, we still had all these things. But then I think we came over, and under the extreme duress of that colonizing, lifestyle, and then the admixture of different cultures. So, if you were Polish, you were embarrassed about that. If you were Italian, that was a bad thing, and, whatever. And then the way we've evolved as European colonizers has been at great harm to our innate human life ways.
Yeah, exactly. The empire kills the understory and the folk ways.
Ooh, yeah. Yes, it does. It gives me shivers.
Yeah, I know. I'm watching Nixie, who's, in her last few weeks of being 9, and she's going to audition for this thing coming up. And she's singing, I am Moana, like full on and well. Like, I'm like,
Yeah.
Owen and I are like, oh my, we knew she was a good singer, but we're like, you are
she is.
a really good singer. And I'm like, I think that's in all kids. Like you said, some people are maybe mid singers, but I just want everyone to feel that freedom of self-expression. And again, the joy of singing.
Yeah, it's like everyone can walk. Some people turn out to be amazing athletes, but everyone can walk. And I really, for the most part. And I think that's the same for singing.
Yeah. Well, great detour. But this next post that you did, I'm really, really loving.
Ooh, gosh, this is so sweet of you to give me all this positive feedback because, social media can be rough out there.
I've learned, like, I rarely comment. I rarely comment on anything. I'm always like trying to get off Instagram while I'm totally on it, sucked into it, but I have like 10,000 more positive feelings and thoughts towards people's work online than I ever express. And I've noticed that that's true, like for me too. Like I'll meet someone and they'll be like, oh my God, this blew my mind and changed my life. And I'm like, oh, I would have been nice to know, but then it's like, well, most people are doing the same thing. They're also not expressing all their very positive feelings all the time on the internet.
I know it's a good reminder that if we have social media creators that we like, even if you don't have time or if you don't really want to type out a response, just put like a couple little emojis in there or something. And also that will bring it back up in your algorithm if you want to see their work in the future. Because creators are fighting for our lives on these platforms. Okay, so should I go ahead and read the post?
Yeah, but wait, am I not going to get to see your face? Did you go off your video?
I don't know. Okay. I'm not trying to. So here, if I minimize that, am I still there?
You're back, yeah.
Okay. So we would all like more essence, but unfortunately it doesn't work that way. There's still things we can do. It's a fine dance of guarding your precious inner kingdom while also giving generously and using the energy you have wisely. If you hoard your energy and gifts too tightly, the body downregulates and makes less of them. If you overgive, you become drained, withdrawn, and can develop severe issues running the gamut from burnout to cancer, autoimmune, and other chronic and even fatal diseases. It helps to nourish with healthy and enough, but not too much food, and surround yourself with people who are also givers and adore you. Create a feedback loop in the earthly realm, people, community, food, nature, animals, and the heavenly realm, prayer, meditation, worship, song, sacred community, contemplation. Notice how community is so important. I think community is the key element in living a life well lived, and something that's a big growth area in modern society. We can drink broth and elk antler till the cows come home, but if we are lonely, it won't do us much good. What do you think?
Oh, I love this. If you overgive, you become drained, withdrawn, and can develop severe issues, running the gamut from burnout to cancer, autoimmune, and other chronic and even fatal diseases. And we know that women who are givers and don't like to say no tend to get autoimmune and chronic diseases more often. It's really easy to, so we focused on postpartum and drug use, but just the way you run your everyday energy and how much you give or not plays a role here. But what I really loved is if you hoard your energy and gifts too tightly, the body downregulates and makes less of them.
Yeah. I know. It's like, it's like a Venn diagram where you're giving, but not too much, and you're sharing, but not too much. You have to, and I think that's why the key is to really surround yourself with people that are also givers. Because then if you schedule the meal train for someone, chances are someone else is going to schedule one for you. Right. So that's why it's like, keep your circle inspiring and tight. And also just, even if you are someone that likes to say yes a lot, you also just need to feel comfortable saying no sometimes too. And just know people are going to be okay. Like, you're not that big of a deal. Like, it's fine. So it's a tough one.
Yeah. Yeah. If, as with everything, we're just walking fine lines all over the place as modern people trying to be healthy, especially women who have given birth and are currently in middle age. I know some people have, issues postmenopausal, but I am really looking forward to being through the perimenopause portal.
You'll be entering the second spring, right? That's what Chinese medicine calls menopause, is the second spring.
Bring it on. Get me out of the depths of please.
Get me out of here.
Okay, Suze, I think we'll end here. So you went on to do more posts based on TCM, like about hair, what hair has to say about it, and facial coloring, which is really early. Sorry, that's you. And so people who, you said, let's get even crazier with TCM and learn how to diagnose with the 5 colors. People who want to just kind of get more into that stuff, those posts are there and they're wonderful. And the Patreon bonus is going to be us updating on, for those of you who have been following along with me and Suuzi for the last 3 or 4 years now of really clawing our way back to of being able to function in our daily lives. We've talked a lot about things that we've done that have helped us. And so we'll just talk about where we're at now.
Okay.
All right. Love you, Suze.
Okay. Love you too.
Okay, head over to the Medicine Stories Patreon for an Amber and Suuzi healing journey update. It can be hard when you have goals and when you know that you are a mentally disciplined person.
Yeah.
But your body is throwing up roadblocks. It's hard. It does something to your sense of self.
Well, and I think that's really important to remember, and I know that we both remind ourselves of this from time to time, but the reason why the body runs out of energy and tells you to stop is because that's like a fail-safe mechanism. Like if we had kept going at the pace we want to during our extreme burnout phase, we're talking heart attack, we're talking stroke, we're talking cancer, like really. And I'm not just, saying that. So I think...
And mental illness too, like anxiety, agoraphobia, these types of things that happen when the energy loss gets that low without ever being replenished. People get weirded out when they hear your food tracking. Oh, isn't that eating disorder behavior? And doesn't that make you feel... It's been the opposite for me. It's been freeing for me.
Yeah.
As misconceptions that I had about foods have been,
corrected.
Yes.
It's educational, and it's one of those things where it's not for everyone, but if you are someone who's trying to heal your relationship with food and you're moving towards nourishment, you're moving away from eating disorder behavior, it is really helpful. This is for our ride or dies who have been tracking our experience over the last few years, or just for any other women, probably midlife women who
are finding themselves facing some health challenges that were never a part of their life previously and want to know what other women are doing. So in this extra 40-minute conversation, Suuzi and I share our updates on our perimenopausal healing journeys after both experiencing devastating fatigue and burnout in our early 40s. We reflect on the reality that healing from chronic illness and deep depletion is often measured in years, unfortunately for us, rather than weeks or months. It requires patience, consistency, and a willingness to keep responding to what our bodies need. As the title of my interview with Sina Maria said, the peak is not the path. The path instead is in this daily, consistent rhythm of nourishment and turning back towards ourselves. So we share what's helping us now, including what we're eating a greater diversity of plant foods and fiber to support the gut, paying closer attention to micronutrient intake as we continue to remineralize, and continuing to prioritize circadian rhythm and light exposure. So it's just a conversation about, the slow work of rebuilding as depleted midlife mothers. And check out the link below to learn more about the Healing Waters Nature Immersion Girls Trip hosted by the two of us this November 3rd through 8th. All the information is there, so I will not bore you with it here. But if you have any questions, you can get in touch with me. Last day to sign up is September 13th, 2026. Also, as of this recording, our St. John's wort oils, including our sun and moon oil, which is St. John's wort and mugwort, are 50% off. This also includes our bundle of 3 St. John's wort oils, which is already discounted. So it's a double discount, and one of those discounts is half off. So it's a big savings. And all of our other oils are 25% off right now. That's at mythicmedicine.shop. That will also be in the show notes, of course. And thank you so much for listening. It is always so fun to talk with my bestie Suuzi and to, have so many people besides me just loving her and loving her perspective and her knowledge and her wisdom. So thanks so much for joining us, Suze, and thank you all for listening.